You're listening to 182.3, Care What People Think.
Welcome back to another episode of the Care What People Think podcast. My name is Ryan. I'm here with
And I'm Will. Yep. Interrupted.
See how I pointed at you, Will? You're right here, bro. Put your finger with me.
Wait.
Other way.
Shit.
Dumbass.
Our camera's mirror. I can't remember.
Guess what? We're embracing failure, Will.
High five.
Yeah, give me a high five.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Dude, we probably look so stupid. Anyway, welcome back to today's episode. We're going to be talking about embracing failure like we just did. We just failed so hard. That is okay, though. We do that every single week. Thank you for joining us again. I'm going to just plug us as well. Were you mimicking me?
Yeah. What? No, I said damn.
Okay. No, I saw your mouth moving. I was like, oh my, yeah. But no, what I'm trying to say is, thank you guys for joining us week to week. We really appreciate that. Spread the word. And just, we love interactions with you guys. It really means the world. So, failure, it's tough. And I mean that's not even supposed to be a joke. It just is tough. But, sometimes when you're failing at something, it's hard to come back. And that brings me into today's segment. We come up with one thing we're proud of from every single week from the week before. And, mine is like feeling overwhelmed this past week and how I dealt with it. And I know that sounds stupid, but holy shit, dude. I looked at my bank account. I looked at my next moves in life. What I mean by that is like,
Bro's having kids. Kids. You just told me firsthand. Bro's like, my bank account is only like $58 and I'm planning on having 2 kids in 6 months because that's possible. And I'm getting 2 dogs and I need a down payment on a house.
I looked at the fridge. There was literally nothing except for applesauce. And I realized little kids like applesauce. So that was okay. And then I realized there's one toilet and I have to share with my kids. And no, what I was getting at though is I was just like very overwhelmed. I don't know. It was an anxious week for me. Didn't really know why that was or what happened. Maybe it was the weather even. But what I'm trying to say is like I was really constantly like overthinking about like my next steps in the future, like what my job was amounting to. I don't have as much like PTO as I would like to. So I feel like I'm just not able to like fully embrace being myself, right? Like I was wondering like, what am I working towards, right? And although feels like I'm not working towards anything, I needed to like ground myself. And what I did this week is I was like, holy shit, dude, I'm 23. It's quiet, persistence. It's okay. And to be like, it's okay to be in this like mentality. I think in today's day and age, I don't know. I'm just preaching at this point, dude. I went through it this week because holy shit, dude, it's just the world is fucking crazy around. But what I'm trying to get at is I was really proud of myself. I like, instead of like, dealing with all that bullshit, I like went outside. I like really became happier just by being alone and just being by myself. So fuck that. I embrace failure and I'm happy about it, dude. I'm happy about it.
Nice. That's good. I know you say like, oh, that's like stupid or whatever. No, I think that's very very valid because the whole like post-college I think no matter what, post-college is like an insanely difficult, like you're really getting hit with a lot of either failure / life was not kind of told, like experience how it was told on top of everything, like how different it is now versus like if we were out of college in like 1996 or like 2002. Like I feel like that also would have been a bit different. Totally. But no, that's awesome. I know you typically, I mean, that's a great point. Just like bouncing back from a setback or something, I guess you would say is failure. Going outside, going to the gym, being healthy. Your body needs to be healthy. You need gains. True. And I don't know why I'm flexing in a big t-shirt for a reason. That's the so
dude. It's because you're one of those dudes that just rips off his shirt and just shows like an absolute mountain of biceps.
Of a flat chest?
Oh. Of a flat chest. For that.
No, what's funny about this episode, first of all, I'd like to commend you, Ryan.
Thank you
saying that. I know that's
before anything, it wasn't like a quarter life crisis, it was a quarter month crisis. So
yeah, no, that's all good.
Anyway,
But
yeah.
for this episode, we actually had this idea planned. I think like right after our like third or fourth episode, which was embracing mistakes and embarrassments. I think so. This one is more focusing on the failure route, bro. Just spit so much facts in this one bullet point, and this was written 7 months ago. True failure is quitting because you can only fail yourself. Keeps going. Doubt will kill more failure than failure ever will. I was cooking at work, apparently. That's pretty good.
I'm serious. Like, that's something you'd see on like somebody's forearm, and you'd be like, dude, that tattoo's so real, bro. Like, where'd you get that? Shakespeare?
Next to mom with the heart.
Facts. And then butterflies like shitting on it. Like,
just like, and then a whole sleeve.
Yeah. And then a whole sleeve with like an arrow with like, I don't know, a dragon. Yeah.
But no, I think that's really important is failures are setbacks. They're the best lessons, but it's not failure is more kind of what you dictate by drawing it in the line. Because you could say, we'll put this in context, when I applied to all my jobs to get my current job, I applied to 220 jobs before I got my job. You could count that as 220 failures. However, that's not how I told it to myself internally, because that's just not the right attitude. That's not going to help me or motivate me to keep trying to find a new opportunity. So like if I stopped maybe applying after like 30 jobs and then I was like, I couldn't do this, but say I'm like, I'm not going to get a job. I'm just going to be evicted because I already moved in and I don't have a job. That's failing because I stopped.
Well, you gave up.
You gave up. Yeah, exactly. So I quit. So, and I think in certain contexts, that's definitely okay. So like, when you're a kid, you try a lot of stuff and you like either quit or you keep going. So like I was in gymnastics as a kid and I did it for 5 years and then I quit. That was, I guess, failure because I didn't make it to the next level. I was on level 5. I was about to get to level 6 and they were like, go on the high bar. I said, fuck that. That was when you had to go all the way around. And I was not about to do that. I guess I kind of have a semi fear of heights because And that was me quitting, so I failed. But like that was okay in context.
Can we talk about that for a second? Like when you were a kid, that failure was not a thing. Like it's either.
Yeah, no.
I mean, okay, you said maybe you lost at something, right? Like for sure, something. But like you were never a failure. Or okay, maybe to yourself you were, but like your peers and stuff, or like your family. At least for me, I felt like it was never like you're a failure. It's like you tried. You know?
Yeah, yeah. They're just like you're done with that now. That's cool.
No, literally, we're moving on. You're shit at soccer. You can't bend in gymnastics. We're gonna put you in something else. I agree, dude. It's just weird how like, and then now as you get older, I feel like you can never celebrate a win. I don't know. It was like,
yeah. No, it's harder. It's easier to just shit on failure. I feel like that's also because there's more expectations. When you're a kid, it's like, what do you expect to do? Just like jump in bushes and bike around? I don't know. Like fucking, but like when you're an adult, it's like you have to make money and contribute to a society. Yeah.
You haven't moved out of mom and dad's house and you're 22 and you graduated college a semester late. You're a failure. Oh, and you didn't go to college? You're a failure. I'm talking to you. Didn't that feel like
dead-eyeing the camera?
Yeah. No, but actually though, it's kind of, I agree. I just wanted to throw that out there because like instead you just got to reframe. You got to be like, okay, take it as you will. That's society just putting pressure on you. But dude, don't take it as a failure. I think act a little bit more like a kid. I think it's really important, man. You can't take life so serious or else you're just gonna get worse and worse and sicker and sicker.
Yeah, and it's actually cool. It's cool to show like what if you're treated like a kid, not entirely, but like the whole treatment of like, oh, you tried, that's great. Where are you gonna are you gonna keep going? Are you gonna I don't know, kind of like the thing was a couple episodes we talked about like analyze and then you like adapt. Like you said, like you adapt. Like if you've been doing something for like 6 years and you're not where you want to be, are you going to keep trying to get better because you really care and you have the passion for it? Or are you going to call that, even if you call it quits, I still don't think it's healthy to say internally, like, I'm a failure. No, you shouldn't say I'm a failure. You can say you failed at something. Like, bro, I'm 6'2". I'm fucking failing at basketball every time I try and shoot. I'm so bad at basketball. Ryan can attest to this.
That's
My
true.
form.
The thing is, like, if he had a ball in his hand, it would be the same thing, which is kind of crazy because that means his fingers would be like
Yeah, I can't.
Don't worry, he can't.
I'm so bad.
Don't worry. You don't even have to ask the question if he can dunk or not. He can't even touch the ball to the rim half the time because, bro, air balls or slips on something. Exactly, bro.
I just tried dunking.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. He was trying to hit the camera, by the way.
Did you have another point similar to that, or do you want to move on and adapt to another? Sorry, that was forced.
Good segue. Nah, okay. Actually, though, I just have to talk a little bit about like the public, like shaming, if you will. I just feel like it always comes back to this, dude. But our generation, social media, everyone is fucking shaming you and making you feel like a failure no matter what. Care about your own shit. Let other people care about their own shit. Stop judging people for it. And guess what, dude? You're going to live a happier life. And I feel like failure is just not something to be ashamed of. Although Will snaps his wrist like this or whatever that jump shot was, bro.
The best tactic.
I don't even know, bro. That's disgusting, right? See, there's me judging. Never mind, Will. It's your own jump shot. Not fun. It's actually ass. But no, don't be ashamed of like throwing yourself out there, trying something, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. In like what I say to myself is like, I'm learning. This week, dude, I'm learning. I'm 23. I'm not failing. I'm learning. So
that's a really good substitute. Because say you're like just picking up something if it's like new and uncomfortable, or you're supposedly like, I feel like that could be applied anywhere. Say you did a test that you genuinely tried to like do good on. We've all been there. I fucking
Will's never failed.
No. I took no. I will. Part of that has some truth to it, but I will not phrase it like that because I think probably like the example I was going to give is in physics, really hard class. If you haven't taken physics, I took a junior year and I had a 9. I think I had like an 84 in the class. That was like one of my lowest grades because I was just try hard in school. Brian dead-eyed the camera because whatever. And so I have an 84. I studied. I tried really hard. I had a midterm for physics and I went and I took it. Bro, I got like a 70 or like a 68. That should drop my grade to like an 82 or 80 something. Almost a C. That would have been my first C. That almost would have been like a failure moment. However, even if it was a test, I'm still learning because I still had a whole extra another semester of physics. And I also physics is just so fucking hard. Like I'm constantly learning because the human brain doesn't stop learning. Bars. Like if you're gonna say you're a failure,
on this
just say you keep. What's on the true failure is quitting.
Yep.
And then
a couple butterflies and a dragon, and then
the other one says failure is learning.
Failure is learning. Facts.
And but yeah, no, that's a good point. Just to like, if you're learning skateboarding,
I agree with you, bro.
Anything,
well, no. Like, I think it's really cool that you brought up like school in general, classes that you struggled with, because, dude, everyone takes it a little bit personal when they get a bad grade or they have a bad grade in a class. And I did the same thing with my job that I started 5-6 months ago, dude. I knew nothing. I work in a logistics shop. I knew nothing about logistics other than my college degree. I walked in, the newbie, an intern, not knowing jack shit, bro. And they literally looked at me like I was the dumb one. And I'm like, guys, I don't know what you want me to do. It's like if I come out of the womb and I don't speak fluent English, how the fuck am I expected to like know English? Like, I'm sorry, I just came out of the womb. Like, so
not to give a presentation. To give a presentation.
Dead ass, bro. Like, what are these expectations? But what I'm getting at is like, dude, you have to learn these skills. It doesn't happen overnight. So bear with yourself, man. And everyone learns differently. It takes an amount of time. So if you don't continuously learn, then you are a failure. But am I wrong?
I'm not gonna lie. I totally zoned out. And I was reading my next point.
No, what I'm trying. Will, you can agree with me on this. I think if you don't continuously learn or learn in general, just a little, I think that does determine a failure.
That's failure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Cool.
On the flip side, when you may think you're failing all the time and you have these moments, fun fact, a lot of the time, no one even fucking notices. Not to make everyone sound belittled, but like, for example, you can go through a lot of failure that not everyone will even know. Like for example, Ryan, you probably have some friends that you haven't checked in with since high school. Or maybe you just have people you met in like middle school that were cool, but you like haven't talked to in a while. If
100%.
you were to talk to them now, like say you actually like hung out with them and you enjoyed their presence and their company and you just like talked to them, you do not know the amount of shit they've gone through over the past whatever years. So you literally don't know, and everyone experiences failure. You don't know all the failures that they would have had. So you may be like, oh, they're chilling. Especially on social media, if you just see people's kind of like highlight reel on Instagram, you may be thinking, bro, all they're fucking doing is balling out. Like they got a job, they have a lot of money, they have whatever, and then you compare yourself, which is really hard not
Totally.
to do because humans compare each other, and then it's easy to fall into that trap. So like everyone, I mean, the what's that classic one where it's like you the problem with social media is you end up comparing your entire length story, highlights, behind the scenes, the whole camera roll to someone else's highlights, and that's why it feels depressing. But you
Yeah,
can
it's
totally.
true. And I think you made a valid point, dude. Who shows their depressing, bad side of their life to the camera or to
Yeah.
social media? Not many people, unless you're an influencer, which I still don't know what that means. But no. But actually, though, I think that's a valid point, man. I think if you I don't have a percentage or amount of people, but if you look back on people you were in high school, middle school with, I don't think every single one of them would be doing as good as they look. You have a valid point on that. I don't think if I didn't speak with you since high school, I would think that you're still playing soccer
Yeah.
and pursuing YouTube, which you are. So maybe you are a failure. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, you'd be like, "Oh, you moved?" And moving's a
Facts.
process, as Ryan now knows. We both moved out of the home state. That's a fucking process, which
Mhm.
you could say is it's easy to point out the negativity. Like
Agreed.
you could yeah. So
Yeah, no, but I think you made a valid point, man. Like you don't know everyone's life, so yeah. Oh,
also with the failure, the last point I was saying that is failure like being a tool, like you're learning, and failure is growth. Say you hit failure upon failure upon failure, or obstacles upon obstacle upon obstacle, even if you dictate all of that as failure, fun fact, the whole time you're still learning how not to do what you're trying to do.
true.
There's that famous quote or whatever where it's like Thomas Edison, I think, where he was like, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just found 1,000 different ways that didn't work to
Yeah.
make the light bulb, which again, I don't even know if he
I
fucking
think
made
that
the
was
light
me
bulb.
after college, bro, with my major, but could have been
Oh,
wrong.
changing communications,
Yeah,
psychology.
hate that one. Hate that one. I kind of no, I still hate it, but I'm just gonna go with it. Yeah, that was me. So
It's
call me
important.
Thomas Edison. Yeah, but I agree. I have a question for you, Will. Do you
Yeah.
think failure is more helpful when it's like
Yes.
big and dramatic, or like
Oh.
you keep it to yourself? Because if you're open about it and you're like, damn, I suck at this and I failed, or you're just like in your mind thinking about
You mean like when you mean like big and dramatic? Do you mean like a big dramatic failure? Like your mistake hurt a lot of people, like in a company, for example. Like you didn't like. Is it
it.
more
No,
of your
I'm
impact, or is it the like you're talking out loud, or you're
yeah,
just keeping it to
it's
your own?
not really like what the effect of your failure is. It's I'm saying like if it's in a huge room of people compared to like okay, yeah, actually that's a good example. For an example, you make a bad, let's just say you're as a salesman, right? Salesman, you lose a company maybe 2 mil on some huge deal. That's a lot of money. It's a big failure, right? Do you talk about it? Do you make it big, dramatic? Do you like make it like that's how you get through it? Or do you just like kind of like what one's more helpful for you? Like do you keep it to yourself, that failure, or what?
I feel like, man, Libra ass answer. I feel like it depends on what stage of grief you're on. Because
Okay.
if you're in denial, I feel like you're just gonna start telling people because you are going to want to tell people what happened so you can cope with it. And then
Mhm.
once you get to the point of like actualizing what happened, I think you're gonna start to be more quiet. Also, I think that also has a lot of effect or like dependence on how you were raised. So like
True.
I gotta talk all the fucking time as a kid because I had a mom that was a stay-at-home mom. So she literally let me yap all the time. And so thus I yap all the fucking time.
Well, I was
And
trying to say like a personalized question. So for your like for example, I know you yap more than me, and that's
yeah.
okay. I would
Oh,
say maybe you probably are going to talk it out.
talk
You're
about yes.
probably going to make it more big, dramatic compared to
Yeah.
me. I'm just going to think about it and be like, all right, I'm not going to do that again. What the fuck is going on? And then
I think
reframe. So
regardless, I think regardless, I'm going to tell at least one person or like
that's fair.
my yeah, probably my go-to is to at least get like a social bond where I can kind of relate, like, oh shit, I did this. Where can we pivot from here? And then I'll go internal versus, like you said, you probably are gonna internalize it and then realize.
I think you're right, dude. It's very much personality, like how you were raised based. But I just had to throw it out there because I just knew your answer would be different than mine. So you're
No,
right.
that's
I would
fair.
internalize it. I would feel way more embarrassed. Not saying you wouldn't, but I think I would just
That's
take it a different way. So
no, that's a really good point.
yeah,
Um, I am trying to think. I think I had I thought I had one more
I
point.
have
Low
a
key. Do you have another one?
yeah, I do because
Go
guess
for it.
what? We talked a lot about failure. We didn't talk a lot about how to bounce back.
Oh yeah.
Guess what?
What?
Well, guess what? What am I doing to my face?
You're oiling it up.
No, I'm
Jeez,
feeling
Ryan,
it.
why are you
All
oiling up?
right.
Yo,
All right.
audio listeners, what's he doing? Bro, put your
ASMR.
bro, he's pulling his freaking bro, what are you doing with your hair?
Sorry, dude. I modeled for Vogue. What can I say? That's not true. Don't ban me from my own podcast.
What's your
Anyway,
what's your point?
what I'm trying to say is I felt my face, right? You feel it first. You don't skip the part where it sucks. You fucking take the blade of failure, let it stab you. Honestly, just you have to feel it, dude. Because the only way to get over a failure and work from it is you have to just accept it, man. Same goes with like, let's just say my friendship with Will, right? If I'm in the wrong, I'm not going to just keep beating him up and saying, no, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. No, I accept that I was in the wrong if that's what the
Yeah.
case is, which never happens. But if I
yeah.
if I was, no, but you have to really just accept it to like be able to grieve, if you will, and like reframe your mind. So second off, you debrief yourself. You asked what you did right, what you do differently. This is what I do. I just kind of just go in my own room and I think about what I've done. I'm not saying like I've like done some crazy ass shit, but I'm saying like let's just say I had an off day, right? I'm like, okay, let's think
Yeah.
about like why I had an off day. I woke up with like not as much time as I would have liked to in the morning. I then didn't get to go to the gym at lunch because I was overworking myself and I was stressed. I didn't eat as much lunch. These are all common denominators of why I'm not feeling it. So either way, I just wanted to say debrief yourself. And then last thing is don't keep it inside. Talk about it with somebody. Tell your significant other, your friend, whoever it is, talk about it. So those are like the three tips I have. I don't know about you, Will.
No,
That's
that's
how
good.
I get over it.
Talking is definitely huge. Yeah, significant other, mom, if you have a mom or someone that's like a mother figure in your life, that's huge. Um, for me, just because, yeah, no, it's definitely a help. It's just you feel related, or you can calm down, at least for my perspective, when you share the experience with someone else. Um, because like I'm trying to think in like sports context. Like you've had a hospital ball in soccer, and then the fucking center tag mid steals it. Bro takes a banger shot, turns into James Rodriguez, and now everyone's looking at you like you fucking gave the ball away. Credit. Why was the ball in defense in the first? Like you could argue every way around it. Like why Ryan played center back? Why did the ball even get to the defense? Then I wouldn't have lost it. But at the same time, Ryan does take responsibility for like I did lose the ball, but like there's no point in arguing over it because
Mhm.
that's not going to change anything. That's also another big point. It's like if you are stuck trying to get like over the failure, at the end of the day, if it's like you lose $2 million, you can't just snap your
You
fingers
can't
and start
change
getting
it.
it back. Yeah, you
Exactly.
can't. so like just learning how to pivot and adapt from where you were about what happened, and being as very clearly communicative as you can. That's something I've learned just from my job is like I've made mistakes. Actually, wait, this is actually fire. When
Okay.
we were in Orlando for a no, yeah, we were in
Conference, right?
Orlando. No, this was a different time actually. We were in
Oh.
Orlando for the grand opening of one of our first stores. And so I was put on duty to do all the photography and my coworker was on videography. And we went around and there was just a bunch of people because we gave out flyers or whatever for certain discounts if they showed up to the store. And so I had to get photos of everyone interacting so we can use them for content in the future. This is actually hilarious, Ryan. You don't know this.
Okay.
I used the same camera that the podcast used, right? Because there
Okay.
wasn't enough cameras because our company also runs a podcast, which I manage, Flex. And that was, I took all the photos. And then when we took all the footage off, I only looked in the video file folder and I drag and dropped all that onto a hard drive. And because we were rushed for time and they needed to record more
Oh.
podcast episodes later, I just wiped the whole SD card and I lost like 800 photos immediately in front of my boss with my coworker. Like we thought we had
No.
everything cleared because we just took the video, but then and we were I'll never forget it. We were in the back of an Uber heading back to our hotel and we were like, "Oh shit." I was like, "Wait, we didn't get the photos off." And then we both our mouths just dropped and we're like, "We're fucked." My entire day, I spent 3
Yeah.
days just being the photographer and I deleted every single photo. And
Bro.
yeah, that was tough. And what ended up happening was me and my coworker kind of went and had a conversation and kind of figured out how
Adapt.
to how to adapt and how to communicate what happened to our boss so
Oh,
they
true.
weren't infuriated. That's also a big thing to learn. If you fuck up, learning how to say it to someone is a skill. Like, because if you just go up to your
Totally.
boss and you're like, "Hey, I just deleted 800 pictures by accident," that
Yep.
sounds way harsher than if you were going to be like, "Hey, so when we were doing the photos, we had a lack of cameras, which ended up having us have to use the same camera for two things. And so that meant there were video files and photo files onto the camera. And again, you could call me just
Yes.
yapping, but that kind of like soft landing
I
helps.
think I agree, dude. I mean,
But
people might even say you're like a liar for that, but like you're really not. I mean, like
nah,
you're beating around the bush. It's true, dude. You
yeah,
gotta like let them down easy if it's like a really big thing. It also like saves your ass. So
yeah. But
smart.
I just realized that happened
I didn't know that.
it happened a year ago today. That's insane.
Damn.
That's insane. Wow.
Well, what did you learn from it?
You don't get fucking penalized if you delete 900 photos.
Wrong answer. You don't lose the
always
camera.
check always check that you've just take it slow. That's probably it.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with technology, just be slow.
Facts.
But I think it's going to be all the time that we have for today. If you were going to listen to one thing throughout this episode, remember, failure makes the best. Everyone you've ever looked up to, admired, been influenced by, appreciate, respect, notice, or love, they have gone through so much more shit. Yeah, I know. I'm on this right now. They've gone through so much shit that you probably will never realize. And that is gonna happen to everyone. Well, especially the goats. Everyone goes through the craziest shit. So just making sure to look at failure as a tool will definitely help you and put you really, really at like much more advantage compared to a lot of other people that are either in your field or your job or age or I don't know. But
Facts.
looking at it as a tool, how you can adapt from it. And remember, care what people think. We'll see you next week.
See you next week on 182.3.